So my name is Kelly McClelland, and I'm presenting on establishing a roadmap, a curriculum I created as part of my work at Women's Wilderness, as well as some research and this curriculum that I've been utilizing throughout my internship at the Horse and Human Project. And Women's Wilderness is the only nonprofit in the nation that specializes in outdoor therapeutic activities for girls, women, and the LGBTQ community. Now, the LGBTQ programs are led in collaboration with the Queer Wilderness Project and have their own set of curriculum. And the women's courses are focused on specialized technical skills. And I went out as a field staff on the girls' programs this summer, and I realized that there wasn't a set framework or foundation for the courses. So I set out to create one. And I'm not going to lie, earlier this week I did a dry run of this, and I just felt really disconnected from it. And I didn't know what was going on, and I reached out to a close friend for some feedback to see what she thought, and she was saying, I know you to be a passionate, zestful person, and it's not coming through. And earlier that day I saw Lindsay's presentation on self-care and burnout and realized that that was the problem. So I called my sister, she's my go-to, and I said, hey, this is what's going on. Like, the content is there, but the energetic piece is not. What should I do? And she said, Kel, in order to remember your journey, you need to, while you're on this journey, you need to think back to where you came from. You need to tell your story. So this first photo is when I was in the 4th grade, before I had braces and contacts, and before I started wearing makeup, and it was still allowed to wear spaghetti straps in school. And I see this like bright, creative, beaming light from my face. And this last photo is when I was at senior prom, and I have contacts, I've had braces, and I'm wearing a lot of makeup and still wearing spaghetti straps. And I see like a mask in this photo. I see, when looking at it, I just am reminded of how disconnected I was from myself and my body and who I was. Now, the time in between when this first photo and this last photo was taken was really, really rocky for me. I played the perfectionist role that Alyssa was just talking about, and played varsity softball in high school. I was in AP classes and tried to do everything right. On the inside, I was suffering silently. Behind closed doors, I was cutting. I was abusing alcohol heavily, and I also had an eating disorder. And I remember reading an article as part of this program, and the title of it was, Can't You See Me Crying on the Inside? And I thought, wow, this is my teen experience. This is me now. This is taken on the intensive with the second years, and this is the first photo I ever posted of myself on social media without makeup. And this was a year and a half ago. And thanks. And I want to point out that I'm no longer wearing spaghetti straps, and I see like the beaming light in my face, reminiscent of that in the first photo. And my sister was right. Like, this story reminded me of why I do this work, because I personally know the transformation and the healing that can happen through therapy and these tools and being out in nature and connecting to source or spirit. So I realized through my research that my personal story was among one of many others. Right now, 1 in 5 children ages 13 through 18 have a severe mental illness, and of those, only 50% actually get the help that they need. Boulder County found that 2 times as many high school girls than boys reported in mental health challenges. Since the launch of social media in 2006, suicide rates among girls ages 10 to 14 has increased 200%. The Dove Self-Esteem Fund found that 7 in 10 girls believe that they are not good enough, the vast majority, and that they do not measure up in terms of athletics, how they look, and academics. Of those, 75% of girls reported engaging in negative activities such as bullying, self-harm, suicidality, and drug and alcohol abuse. Now these girls need our help. 93% of them are saying that they want their parents or adults around them to shift their behavior towards them in at least one way, such as active listening, spending more time with them, and genuinely having an interest about what's going on in their world. Now just shout out some words about what seeing these is making you feel right now.
Sick. Sad. Horrified.
Confused.
Worried.
Yeah. Yes, sick, horrified, confused, worried. Me too. Which is why I set out to do something about it. I ended up collaborating with this woman in the red shirt here named Addie Cantor, and she is one of our field staff, has her master's in social work, and works in trauma-informed care in the Jefferson County School District. And she is as much responsible for this work as me. We worked hand in hand to create this curriculum. And what we found through our training and our degrees and the research we are seeing is that there's 3 key things that we need to do to help combat those statistics you just saw. And we came up with these 3 pillars that are the foundation of our curriculum. Helping our girls and our kiddos shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Increasing their emotional literacy and providing a space for them to explore their identities. Carol Dweck is the founder of Growth Mindset, and she found through her research that there's 2 types of mindsets. Fixed mindsets that you see here on the left, and growth mindsets. People with fixed mindsets believe that things like talents, creativity, abilities are fixed traits that are static and we're only born with a certain amount. People with growth mindsets believe that things like intelligence, talents, abilities, creativity can be developed through hard work, persistence, and effort. Now these 2 separate sets of mindsets, these people face things very differently. Fixed mindset people avoid challenges and tend to give up. People with growth mindsets really embrace challenges and persist in the face of adversity. People with fixed mindsets don't think that effort is necessary. People with growth mindsets know that effort is necessary in order to reach their goals. People with fixed mindsets ignore criticism and they really feel threatened by the success of others. And people with growth mindsets really learn from criticism and find lessons of inspiration in the success of others. Now this is important because we know that when faced with challenges, girls that have fixed mindsets are less likely to make an effort and they tend to give up and engage in negative behaviors and negative self-talk. How we can do this is by reframing challenges as an opportunity to grow, not something bad or something difficult. It's an opportunity to learn. Encouraging not yet language. So there's a school in Chicago that instead of giving F failing grades, they give NY, which means that their students haven't achieved the level of academic yet, but with persistence, effort, and hard work, they can get there. Praising effort and hard work versus the end product. So instead of focusing on what's been accomplished, focusing on the actual process. And avoid commenting on intelligence or skill. Now, why might commenting on intelligence or skill be detrimental? Shout stuff out, whatever comes to mind.
Limitation of scope of practice.
Limitations,
You may feel like you're comparing them to someone else.
like they're comparing.
Means they can't change it?
Yep, so what Brandy was saying is head on. When you're commenting on someone's intelligence or skill, you're perpetuating the problem that it's a fixed trait versus the effort being put in. Now there's an experiential on your handout, which is the white side of the handout. And it's the personal intention and personal hashtag. And this is something you can do with yourself or the adolescents and teens in your lives. And it's a way of shifting negative fixed self-talk to more positive growth mindset-oriented talk. Now, I see this a lot on our courses, the interplay between fixed mindsets and growth mindsets. On the girls' courses, 60% of our participants receive full or partial scholarships. And we outfit them from head to toe. All the gear is provided, all of the food. And so we get a lot of kiddos in the foster care system, refugees, and girls that are in families that are homeless. And so they show up on our courses looking like this. Most of them have never set foot in the wilderness, let alone climbed a 100-foot wall. And so a lot of the things we hear at the beginning are like, there's no way I can do this, I can't, I'm terrified, no way. And then towards the end, they end up looking like this, where they're accomplishing things that they never even dreamed of, and we have to pry them off the rock because they're so stoked about their self-confidence and what they've learned and their abilities. The next pillar is emotional literacy, and the foundation from this comes from the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence, and it's ruler, helping our girls recognize their emotions, understanding what's causing them, labeling them accurately, expressing them, and being able to manage them more effectively. Why this is important is because we see that EQ actually versus IQ actually is a great predictor of success in terms of relationships, effectiveness, health, and overall quality of life. The Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence has also found that it leads to more effective leadership skills as well as ability to manage conflict and relationships. How? Really normalizing emotions, not labeling them as good or bad, and asking what's wrong. Now, why might this be something detrimental to emotional literacy, asking what's wrong?
Because you imply that being sad or being mad is wrong.
Yes, absolutely. All emotions on the spectrum are healthy and okay to express. And by normalizing that environment, it's telling them that they're okay and their experience is okay. A fun acronym is to LAV, L-A-V, not laugh. Listening to what they've had to say, acknowledging what's been said, mirroring or reflecting it back to them, and validating their experience. So it's okay to experience what you are and having those emotions based on what you've been through. You yourself modeling healthy emotional identification and regulation. So, wow, I had a really stressful day. I'm feeling really anxious and nervous. So I'm going to go out for a run or write about it. And when I come back, I'd love to talk to you about it. This is probably one I'm going to use later. The last one is naming it to tame it. So we know by saying emotions out loud, it actually diffuses the charge in the emotions and better increases our ability to understand what's going on and regulate them. There's an experiential on your handout called the 3-part check-in, and what it is checking into your body, your heart, and your mind, noticing what emotions and sensations are happening in each of those different parts. And again, this can be something that is done by yourself through journaling or also sharing in connection with others. I'm working with a young trans client right now, and he has been through so much trauma that when he looked at himself in the mirror, he dissociated. He couldn't feel into his body at all. And he also has a love of anime characters. And so through working with his interest in anime characters, we are able to do parts work with emotions to better help him make sense of his internal world by relating it to characters. Just this week, actually, yes, I'm still seeing clients while doing this work, so good luck second years. I'm sure you'll do great. It's tough. It's really tough. He was saying, wow, I feel really nervous, and I feel it in my stomach, and it feels tight and like emotional pain. And I was like, holy. You went from being dissociating the second you looked at yourself in the mirror to being able to say your emotions out loud, identify them, and identify a place in your body. It was a huge shift from when we started work in the beginning. Now, the last pillar is identity development, and we developed our own acronym for this, and I think it's pretty cool. And Addie Cantor, actually, who's not here today, she came up with this. The S stands for self-identity, developing your own definition of self, not what society is telling you to be, or your friends, or your family. Moving through space with an open heart and really owning it, saying yes, saying no, having boundaries. The U is unique gifts, understanding what special things you have to bring to the world. R is reflecting on your past, present, and future self. The C is having courageous conversations, really in line with what Brandy was speaking to earlier, and understanding how society impacts you and how you impact society. The E stands for exploring your own authentic ideas, beliefs, and values. Why this is important is because Erik Erikson showed us through his psychosocial stages of development that if we don't develop a strong sense of who we are and what we believe, we get lost in the tides of life and the world as we grow older, because we don't have an anchor to ground us in who we are and what we believe in. By developing a strong sense of identity, we're also able to increase our sense of self-esteem and sense of belonging, which again, I'm curious to see how it aligns with Brandy's research. How we're able to do this is by normalizing trying on different selves, recognizing that we're not just one thing and there's multiple facets to our identity. Also sharing your own personal relevant stories of what your identity is and how it's still evolving. There's an experiential on your handout called the heart map. And this is one of my favorites. It's looking at what takes up space in your heart. So what are the things you most cherish and the things that are most nourishing to you? At my work at Horse and Human Project, I have a Girls and Goats group. And shortly after this photo, the goats ran away, and the girls and I were chasing them down the street, sprinting through neighbors' yards, and we caught them all. And we actually did some of these exercises in our group. So you'll see things that take up space in their heart. Some things are gymnastics, beach, friends, home, dogs, and the girls really love slime. Every time they go into the house to go to the bathroom, I see them like playing with the slime that they've made and like pretending to wash their hands, but really they're just playing with slime. So I don't think they know that I've caught on to it. And I've had consent to show all this work and all the photos, just wanted to say that. And these are a pretty sophisticated group of 10-year-olds. We talked about what's in our first aid kit that we utilize when we're feeling really dysregulated or stressed in life, and they said things like perspective, nature, meditation, and positive self-talk. And I promise you, I did not prime them to say these things. So right now, our curriculum is a 37-page document, and this is a snapshot of all of the different activities that are part of the curriculum. And they each correspond with some of the pillars with the pillars we've been talking about. So some of the activities are exploring what your ecological self is, your sense of place, how you relate to nature. Doing a nature solo and exploring the emotional landscape as part of that. What's going on in your inner world in terms of emotions, and how can you relate that to the outside world? Writing a letter to yourself or future self about negative self-talk and why growth mindset in positive self-talk is so important. And the various others that are on your handout that I included in it today. So in order to really let all this information sink in and to help you explore why this work is important to your life, please close your eyes, or feel free to take a soft gaze at the floor in front of you or a chair. I'm going to walk you through a brief visualization. And for most of you, it's rewinding back time, and for some of you, it's fast forwarding. Imagine your life as a teenager. What clothes are you wearing? Are they coming back in style now? What shoes are you wearing? What smells are you smelling? What sounds are you hearing? Who are the people that are surrounding you? What challenges are you facing? What emotions are you feeling? Now go imagine how your life as a teenager and now might be different, having learned some of these skills. Moving through the world with positive self-talk, looking at challenges as an opportunity to grow. Having people let you know that emotions are healthy and normal and okay. Having a safe space to explore your identity and who you are and all of the facets of that make you who you are today. Now slowly opening your eyes and coming back to the room, orienting to this present time right now, things that you see. And that is the reason why this work is important for me, for you, for each and every one of us. Thank you. So I have time for a few questions if anyone has any.
What have you found predisposes the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset when you're first meeting a client?
It really depends. A lot of what the research shows is that being surrounded by adults that perpetuate this idea of commenting on how they look and the things that they accomplish, as well as, again, just commenting, wow, you're so smart, wow, you're such a great artist. Like, I think it's so part of what we do that we don't realize it's creating this problem of trying to achieve or thinking in only one way.
What's an alternative you could say instead of you're a great artist or you're so smart?
So something that I use a lot is, well, actually with one of my clients, he really is a phenomenal artist. And instead of commenting on that, I show like, wow, you're using a great use of colors. And tell me like what's been going on in your process of drawing this. So really focusing on the effort that they're putting in and the process of actually doing it rather than the end result. Because in their mind, a lot of the times, they think that what they're doing is actually bad. So by me saying, wow, you're a good artist, if someone doesn't actually believe that, it's not going in at all.
Cool, thanks.
Could you imagine adapting this curriculum to like an office space setting?
I'm so glad you asked that. Hi, Emily. Emily is the executive director of Women's Wilderness. And we are running a set of corporate courses. Actually, my background is in marketing and business, which you already know. But I have thought about like, wow, these things are so great for adolescents, but a lot of us are still operating as adolescents inside, but just like trying to act like adults. So these things are like very relevant for us still, and we need to grow that in adults. So definitely.
Is it okay if I tag on a sentence? Ideally, and I think you would agree with this, it's something that we strive to do within the office setting the best we're able.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a constant process.
Yeah, that was part of the presentation that I cut out actually, is we're really looking at training our staff in this way to model all of these things and embody them for the girls and in connection with everyone in the community that we come in contact with.
Kelly, you said you work with a fairly diverse population of these. Do you see them finding the space with the other girls or with you individually to explore their diversity in terms of their cultural heritage, in terms of their gender, in terms of because I know when you're a teenager, those aren't necessarily like big words for you to be exploring in terms of your identity, but able to kind of start teasing that somehow.
Absolutely. So the unique thing about women's wilderness courses is because they are, some of them are financial aid based, we have girls that can pay full pay that are white and from Boulder. That's a stereotype. I recognize that as I'm saying that. And on course with girls that are fully funded and then may have a different background from them. And part of some of the activities in identity development are the social identity wheel. So looking at all facets that make up your identity and then talking about that in groups. Another part of my presentation that I cut out, and I'm so glad you asked, is we actually ran this by some cultural constituents, Pinar, who was just here, and Montserrat. And we have a round 2 that we're already thinking of developing. And it looks at ancestry and sense of place as part of identity development, as well as incorporating indigenous protocol, permission asking ceremonies, and how to really work with the land in a place that's I, thou versus I, it. So it's really cool and I'm excited for it, and it hasn't even happened yet. All right, thank you everyone.